Mythicism questions the historical existence of Jesus Christ, suggesting he may be a mythological figure. Proponents argue there is a lack of contemporary evidence for Jesus' existence. Mythicists point to parallels between Jesus' story and earlier dying and rising gods. Non-Christian sources referencing Jesus are often deemed unreliable by mythicists. The figure of Jesus may have originated as a celestial savior within early Christian communities. Textual criticism helps scholars analyze ancient texts for historical accuracy. Comparative analysis reveals connections between biblical narratives and earlier mythologies. The Council of Nicaea was pivotal in shaping early Christian doctrine and addressing theological disputes. Mysticism invites us to explore the deeper truths hidden within religious narratives. The story of Jesus may be more than a biography. It could be a metaphor for inner transformation. Miraculous events in Jesus' life can be seen as stages of inner growth and consciousness evolution. The motif of a dying and rising Savior appears across many cultures, suggesting a universal archetype. Gnostic traditions view Jesus as a symbol of the divine spark within every human being. For mystics, the essence of Jesus transcends historical confines, embodying inner wisdom. Mysticism emphasizes personal experience over historical verification, focusing on transformation. The narrative of Jesus inspires inner change, inviting believers to discover the Christ within themselves. The debate over Jesus' existence begins with the concept of contemporary evidence. Contemporary evidence refers to records created close to the events they describe. Ancient record-keeping was vastly different from today, often lacking formal documentation. Some non-Christian sources mention Jesus, but they come decades after his death. The argument from silence questions why there are so few early records about Jesus. Historians warn against concluding non-existence based solely on a lack of evidence. Despite the lack of contemporary evidence, many scholars believe in Jesus' historical existence. The scarcity of evidence is common for many ancient figures, not just Jesus. In the ancient world, tales of dying and rising gods echoed through the ages. Osiris, the Egyptian god, faced death and emerged anew, embodying the cycle of life. Dionysus, the god of wine, also traversed the realms of death only to return transformed. Attis, a Phrygian deity, experienced death and resurrection, symbolizing fertility and renewal. Adonis, beloved by Aphrodite, faced death yet was reborn, representing the eternal cycle of nature. The narrative of Jesus shares these motifs, woven into the fabric of early Christianity. Critics argue that the story of Jesus is rooted in the historical context of first-century Judea. Thus, the tale of Jesus stands as a unique narrative, rich with theological significance. Experts question the reliability of non-Christian sources that reference Jesus. They highlight the timing of these references, often written decades after the events. The case of Josephus raises concerns about possible alterations by Christian copyists. Many references are brief and lack detailed accounts of Jesus' life. Experts argue that bias may have influenced these non-Christian accounts. They suggest that the cultural context shaped the transmission of these narratives. Comparative records of other historical figures show similar sparse documentation. In summary, experts view these sources as part of a complex tapestry of ancient narratives. In the beginning, the figure of Jesus emerged from the celestial realms, a divine presence beyond mere humanity. Early Christian writings reveal a transcendent Jesus, existing before creation itself. The story of Jesus may have begun as a myth, a narrative woven with spiritual truths. As time passed, the celestial savior was transformed into a historical figure, merging myth with biography. The rich cultural tapestry of the Eastern Mediterranean influenced early Christian thought and identity. Understanding Jesus as a celestial savior reshapes our view of early Christian theology and its evolution. This perspective invites us to see the Jesus narrative as a living allegory of the human quest for salvation. Whether viewed as historical or celestial, the story of Jesus continues to inspire and transform lives. Textual criticism is the key that unlocks the mysteries of ancient texts. Scholars gather manuscripts from distant lands, piecing together the fragments of history. They create a critical apparatus, a map of textual variations and their origins. External evidence reveals the age and lineage of each manuscript, guiding their quest. Internal evidence helps scholars discern the true voice of the original author. Scribes, both careless and intentional, leave their mark on the texts they copy. Reconstructing the text leads to a clearer understanding of historical events and beliefs. Textual criticism is the bridge that connects us to the wisdom of the past. In the realm of ancient tales, the echoes of shared narratives resonate through time. The flood narrative, a cosmic reset, unites the stories of Noah and the Epic of Gilgamesh. Both tales feature divine warnings and the preservation of life through chosen individuals. The motif of the dying and rising deity weaves through the fabric of ancient mythologies. Jesus' resurrection mirrors the cycles of death and rebirth found in myths of Osiris and Dionysus. Comparative methodology unveils the structural and contextual threads that bind these narratives. These connections enrich our understanding of the Bible as part of a larger storytelling tradition. Recognizing shared motifs invites us to explore the origins of religious ideas and their evolution. In the year 325 AD, a great assembly known as the Council of Nicaea was summoned by Emperor Constantine. At the heart of this gathering was the fierce Arian controversy, igniting debates about the nature of Christ. Arius, a priest from Alexandria, claimed that Jesus was a created being, not co-eternal with God the Father. The council's response was the creation of the Nicene Creed, affirming Jesus as of the same substance as God. This creed became the cornerstone of Orthodox Christian belief, uniting the faith across the empire. The Council of Nicaea also set a precedent for future gatherings, establishing a model for resolving disputes. Emperor Constantine's involvement marked a new era where Christianity began to intertwine with the Roman state. The legacy of Nicaea echoes through the ages, shaping the very foundations of Western civilization.